Hello friends, good afternoon. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis. Today is 21st of May 2018. Right, about me, I'm Sagar B. Ashwath. I'm a tutor at Shiksha S Academy, Faculty for Psychology, Indian Economy and Ethics. As usual, the quote today: try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. So, what's important in life is not just being successful the way you want. It's also about having those values, ingraining those values in you, and then becoming successful. So that carries more weight. So that's what Albert Einstein says. Okay. On that note, so we'll start the analysis with the paper. In the front page, you have 7 policemen killed as Maoists blow up their SUV. So this is something which happened. This tragic incident happened in Chhattisgarh, where an improvised explosive device (IED) blast was triggered, and 7 police personnel have succumbed to death. So the left-wing extremism. This is how it is happening in Chhattisgarh. So the Red Terror. See, the Naxal attack happened near Dantewada, and measures have been taken, and the union government has unleashed, so as to say, a plan whereby the Naxal insurgency, or so as to say, your left-wing extremism, can be brought down. In fact, when we look at it closely, there have been a lot of encounters in the last few years, and a lot of the Naxals have died, but their specific targeting, right? Their specific targeting has not gone down. They have been targeting people and policemen, so that has been quite common, right? So the next, that's about it. You need not look too much into it. When the government comes up with a policy for Naxals, and you have to know what is red corridor, where the red corridor is. So you have a redefined red corridor now, which includes Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, right, and then West Bengal. So you have a redefined corridor now, and then you have a Congress JDS to discuss coalition modalities. This is not required, right? So completely election related and politics related, right? And then you have petrol diesel prices at another record high. This one is more about the prices going up for a reason that the prices were stalled to raise. So in fact, since the last year, both the petrol prices and diesel prices have been linked to the market prices. The market decides the prices of petrol and diesel, before which the government used to provide subsidies. So now they have been completely deregulated. But what had happened in the last few days was that till the 15th or 14th of May, the prices of petrol and diesel were not allowed to go up for almost 3 weeks. So this was done keeping in mind Karnataka elections. That's what the opposition says, and most of the economists also say. So now, on a regular basis, that is for 7 days in a row, the prices of petrol and diesel have gone up, right? So petrol and diesel prices is something which is completely related to your international prices, and also the state taxes are also high, especially the sales tax. And one more thing is that it is outside the purview of GST, right? You have the cascading effect as well. So it is incumbent on the government to bring states on board and try to bring the petrol and diesel within the GST's ambit. Okay, that would be the solution. So man beaten to death in MP, this is not required. And then so North South, not required. Then national. So when we come to the national news, this is completely political in nature, not required. And again, nothing of importance. Right, here is one thing where solar microgrids were used to light up a remote Jharkhand village. Right, so a new policy is being proposed or mulled by the Jharkhand government, where they want to bring in electrification to almost all the households in Jharkhand. So they are drawing this inspiration from a scheme, or so as to say, from a policy which led to the lighting, 100% lighting of all the houses in a particular village. So this village is Bergaon. So this village has at the center what is called as a solar microgrid. From here, the power gets supplied to all the households in that particular village. So this is quite successful. So now the government has been saying that it has provided 100% electrification to villages. That's true because the government's definition, right? The government's definition of electrification of a village is that of providing just 10% of 10% electricity to electricity to 10 of the homes. So 10% of the homes in that village. So that's about it. So if 10% of the homes in a village have electricity, so you can see that the village is electrified. By that measure, there are only 42% of the households in Jharkhand who have electricity. So 100% electrification of villages, yes, but only 42% of the Jharkhand households have electricity. So this is the highest in the country. That is 58%, right? 58% of the households do not have power. So that's too high. So sorry, there was 42% of the Jharkhand households, the highest in the country, they do not have power. So 58% has power. So that was a mistake. And going further, so this is something which can be emulated elsewhere. This solar microgrid thing. So that's what Jharkhand government is thinking. So the rest of the things, it is nothing. It is mostly related to state. And then here, this article is important. I would like to make a note of this. You should make a note of this because this Sadharan Brahman Samaj has dragged the West Bengal government to court. So what is this Sadharan Brahma Samaj? This was a party which was funded by Rabindranath Tagore's father in the initial years, and it has now entered a legal battle with the state government, that is West Bengal government. Why? Because the government has taken a decision to dissolve all the governing bodies of 8 colleges in Kolkata, which is run by this particular organization. So the case is now pending in Calcutta High Court, and it will come up for hearing soon. So that's the case about. So this case is not important for us. What is important is what is the Sadharan Brahma Samaj. So this is something, the details of which is provided in the last paragraph here, right? You have all the details related to it here. So Brahma Samaj, which was formed by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, it was an alternative to the prevalent ideologies in Hinduism. So it was started in 1828, that is Brahma Samaj by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. But due to some differences, Keshab Chandra Sen and along with other people came out of the original Brahma Samaj, and they started a separate organization called the Brahma Samaj of India in 1866. So the SBS was formed as at a public meeting. That is, your Sadharan Brahma Samaj was formed at a public meeting in 1878. This was due to the differences between its founders, right? That is, all the people who came out had formed your what the Brahma Samaj of India in 1866, and after few years there were differences between Keshav Chandra Sen and other founders. So the other founders came out in 1878 and they started Sadharan Brahma Samaj. So Keshav Chandra Sen seems to have had problems with almost every other person. So who were these people? One was Anand Mohan Bose, right? And Shiv Chandra Dev and Umesh Chandra Datta were the key leaders of this SBS, right? So Devendranath Tagore, who was a father of Rabindranath Tagore, was actively involved with this particular organization, that is Sadharan Brahma Samaj. Okay. Next, you have the editorial part, the fruits of defeat. This is political in nature, not required. And then you have rise of Sadharan. So, what is this article about? This article is about the elections, election results in Iraq, right? So during the recently held parliamentary elections, the party which has a leader called Muqtada al-Sadr, right? He's a nationalist Shia cleric. So a party headed by him has made inroads, and the other party, right, which was headed by Haider al-Abadi, has ceded ground for his party, right? So what has happened with this? So Muqtada al-Sadr, being a nationalist cleric, he has more of this nationalistic fervor, and he is a Shia cleric as well. So for years together, he has been sidelined by both the Iraqi establishment, right? Both the Iraqi establishment as well as the Iranian leaders, and also he is seen as an enemy by the Americans. So because of all these reasons, he was sidelined, and this was mostly because he was a nationalist leader, right? He's a nationalist leader for this reason. So going further, what happens with with Iraq and Iran relationship is something which is going to completely depend. What happens to Saddam here? So Saddam himself cannot become the minister, has not contested elections. So he's quite surprised that he has won quite his party has made such an inroad. So since no bloc now has majority, new government will have to be formed on stitching alliances. So as I said, he cannot become the prime minister as he did not contest the election. It is not clear whether his bloc would get the prime ministerial berth at all. Iran would not be happy because he has always been critical of interventions by Iran in the Iraq politics. Mr. Sadr has visited Saudi Arabia. He can counterbalance, right, the two regional powerhouses, that is Saudi Arabia and Iran. He has demanded that the Iran-trained popular mobilization militias, which were in the forefront of battle against ISIS, should be merged with Iraqi, army. Also, his nationalist narrative runs quite counter to the Shia of the Iran is trying to promote to Iran wants, the Iran wants cross country Shiite brotherhood, and they want to take on Sunnis that way. They want to have more regional influence by cities, including the Shiite populace across the region. So this is what it looks like now. However, attacks between these countries, both sides will also find some common ground in building a post-war Iraq. It would not be in Iran's best interest if Iraq becomes destabilized. It will be more violence. Iraq is a complex multi-sector society where you have Shia, Sunnis, Kurds. So it's a multi-sector society, and it does need cross-sectarian politicians. So your Sadr is one person who can actually provide that leadership. Right? What does happen? Right? So next is your main sense of Wuhan research. So this is an informal summit which was held between Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping. And this Wuhan is a city which is located only had visited the city most minister, and he knew now so that he can see how much this particular city has progressed. And also the city has quite a big infrastructure, and the Province Xi wanted to show how we have made progress, and his next meeting in 2025, giving all I want to demonstrate the White Gulf that seems to separate his program with Modi's to take us out into the program. So this meant a lot of things. I just you to go to this particular paragraph, where India saw this as a trust being exercised, and Mr. Modi had emphasized that influence of global leadership over the nations. So two was ruling country was one to Romania. He brought a vision of the five principles, right, to define this relationship on his Soch, Sampak, right, Samyog, Sabal, and Sakne. So these were the five things which he has to guide the cooperation as well as to say a relationship. So apart from this, because the entire meet was informal in nature, the outcome of the meet was something not like issuing a joint communique. When you have a small summit, a joint strategic communique, or so as to say, a joint communique has to be released. But there are no such conclusions when you have an informal summit. So you had this informal summit, and there were three categories which you can see. So that I mentioned here. So one key takeaway was that related to providing for more such meets, right? They decided that they will have more such meets, and also they decided that there will be strategic communications at the highest level. The other thing was that there would be strategic skills to build more trust between them and develop more positive was on another agreement between India and China work on an economic project in Afghanistan. So these were three key outcomes. Right. Both sides also say that there's a need to cooperate on terrorism and strengthen the dialogue mechanism to deal with contentious issues which haunt the relationship between two countries, including that of the tranquility in India-China border. Apart from this, on the border issue, whether we made progress is something which is questionable. Why? Because not much was talked about it, and there was no formal statement issued about it. So also, why is China now, all this part, read once, and what you can draw from this, or conclusion that can be drawn from this, is that China is looking for mending its ties with India. So it wants to grow softer with India. It does not want to agree to its terms. So India also is not in a position to challenge China yet, and we have a good relationship with US, and but you cannot ever say US would be on India's side if war broke out. So we have all such problems when it comes to geopolitics. And what we have been seeing is that China is making inroads into almost all the countries in the Indian Ocean region. It has made inroads into Nepal. It has made inroads into Maldives, right? And again, about the CPEC, not much was talked about. The concessions granted by India, in fact, it looks like the entire summit was like, what did China get from it? China got that India, sort of imposed curbs on Dalai Lama's activities, right? But this is hardly likely to satisfy China. And what did India get in return? India could showcase that, right? We are trying to have better relationship, and we are trying to solve the problems which have been haunting India, be it on the trade front or related to the border or the Doklam issue. But concrete results have not been out. So what both the countries think is that it is important that the two countries do not come at loggerheads again, but try to resolve the problems amicably, and see that this century is defined as an Asian century. However, there are more than that meets the eye. These are all optics, the informal summits and the formal summits. But in reality, when we see the ground, what is happening? Beings, that is China's defense budget for 2018 has increased by 8.1% over the previous year. And this is in keeping in view the decision of the Chinese 19th Party Congress to build a world-class military. So they want to increase their naval and air defense strength. This would obviously, right, only embolden China to expand its activity further in your Indian Ocean region, right? So India has to tread its path rather cautiously. Next is steering, reforming clogged codes, nothing much of importance. And in this page, you do not have anything important, I guess. Yeah, nothing important. And then here, probe horse trading bid, Congress tells PM. So again, Karnataka elections. So what I would suggest you to do is, because so many things are happening around the Karnataka elections, I would like you to go through all those things related to the elections in your Lakshmikant text, right? Lakshmikant text on Indian polity. So election commission, and then governor's role in appointing chief ministers, right? The judges, the SR Bommai case, right? And also anti-defection law. So what are the provisions under anti-defection law? What is this horse trading all about, right? So I would suggest you to go through that. It becomes important, right? There is one more thing here. Foreign investors cool to residency scheme. What is this about? It was a scheme launched called the PRS scheme. It's a permanent residency status scheme. What was this scheme about? This was launched to make in India more successful. So the scheme promises of the facilities to foreigners who invest at least 10 crore rupees under the FDI route. This was cleared by Union Cabinet in 2016 to boost the Make in India program. So the foreign investors who pump in a minimum of 10 crore rupees within 18 months or 25 crore rupees within 36 months from the date of inception of 2016 would get this permanent residency status in India. So, what is the progress on this front? The thing is, there has not been even a single foreign investment through this route, right? So, obviously, except Pakistani citizens and third country nationals of Pakistan origin, except for these people, it is open to all other peoples, right? So this is something related to the PRS scheme where it has not taken off at all. So there are a few more things about this. The FDI should result in generating an employment of at least 20 Indians in every financial years, and PRS card holders, right, are also eligible to buy residential property in India. And this will be granted for a period of 10 years, and it can be renewed again for another 10 years. So this a sort of scheme is also run by US, Canada, European Union countries, and US offers what is called as US such a program under EB5 visa program, where the foreigners could apply for permanent residency status if they have created employment opportunities for 10 people with a minimum investment of 6.5 crore. So this has been done in other countries as well, but the thing is, in India it has not taken off properly, right? Rather than properly, it has not started at all. And here something for the UPSC aspirants. The PMO seeks change in UPSC allocation. There is a note which is sent to UPSC saying that a note has been sent to concerned departments which send in the data as to how many offices they want and what sort of offices they want. So such notes are sent to the UPSC by ministries, and accordingly the UPSC advertises as to how many posts need to be filled in. In fact, what has happened now is that the PMO has sought change in the UPSC allocation. That is, so far after your prelims examination, you had to fill the DAF detailed application form, where you used to give your preferences related to the state as well as the posts which you chose. What the PMO has done is it has asked the ministries whether it would be possible if catered allocation and state allocation and catered allocation and the posts would be decided not on the basis of just the rank, right? So a first rank holder could obviously get